And you've got to keep quiet. Otherwise you can take your riff-raff over the back fence and I'll call you when you're ready. This is Mr. Wilson, you know him over the back fence? Yeah. Basically I knew Cyril Eugene when I was living in Broome. As we know, there's people's names I'm going to use that have passed on. There's Cyril, Sago. They used to come to Broome now and then. They would talk about the job they were doing out in the bush, mainly camping out 10 days of every fortnight. Big boy's dream, shooting donkeys out of helicopters. Everything that a young 25-year-old bloke would ever want to do and get paid to do. After Cyril passed away, the job came up as a leading hand. I applied for it in Broome. Derek Sutton was the regional manager at the time, regional officer. He interviewed me in Broome, then Carl Drysdale interviewed me in Broome. Got the job, moved up here. I stopped at my mate Jimmy Edgar's house, off and on until we got our house here. I've been in this house since November 1984 is when we moved up from Broome. Here full time with my then beautiful wife, who would have been 24, and my son, who was about 6. I've since lost my wife. Yeah, and it just seemed like a dream job. I enjoyed it from the start. The first day we went out to Yedo, we were spraying mesquite. No training. Carl took me out there, dropped me off to Sago and the rest of the boys. There with us, they were walking around spraying mesquite. Sago had Ugg boots on. Everyone else had thongs, shorts, singlets. Spraying 245T. Well, later we found out. Well, I found out it was 245T mixed with diesel. And all we did was walk around basil barking trees all day. Because of how close we were coming home every night, then back out there in the mornings. This went on for 2 or 3 months. It wasn't until a couple of years later, we knew that this stuff would kill huge big trees dead within a fortnight. Very potent. Not knowing any, no training, don't know nothing about the chemicals. We, sprayed it, we lived with it. We went out to Christmas Creek, we were spraying along the river. We'd go out for 10 days of every fortnight. No camping facilities, they gave us a calico tent, a calico fly with a come-along rigged between the 2 trees. Made a fly camp, slept on the ground in swags. Our drinking water, our bathing water was the water hole where we camped. Cooked on firelight. They gave us a couple of camp ovens and 2 freezers and a small generator. That was the entire camp setup. And yeah, so this went on. Then one of the blokes started with us, Jimmy Hawke. He did 2 tours of Vietnam. The minute he smelt that stuff, he said, that's 245T. And that's when everyone started talking about 245T. We found out it was a component on Agent Orange. Because I'm not a well-educated person myself, but because most of the blokes who were working with me at the time were Indigenous, and a lot of times management, as we'd call, the district office and everyone else, they use these big highfalutin words, jargon. We didn't know what they were talking about, so I enrolled in a course so I could understand what was going on, so then I could relay it better to the blokes under my care. At that stage of the game, there was no duty of care. And funny enough, when you read about the Occupational Safety Health Act, it was in 1984, the same year I started with them. And we would walk around, we were mixing the chemical straight out of a 44-gallon drum, no labels on it. It was just a dirty old 44-gallon drum. 60 litres into 200 litres of diesel, 1 in 60. No gloves, no respirators. If we wanted to wear a hat, we bought our own hat, no sunscreen protection, absolutely nothing. no respirators. So yeah, when someone raised the issue about about Agent Orange, I was actually told if I keep talking about Agent Orange, I could actually lose my job. That bloke's name was Fred Hearn. He was the regional officer at the time. And so, yeah, we just kept doing as we were told. And the shame about it all, these are young blokes, myself included. We're out there trying to earn a dollar to feed our kids, to give our families and everyone a better life. And here we are being poisoned. Willingly, not willingly, knowingly, we're being poisoned. We're coming home covered in the, like, as clean as you try to be, your clothes still reek of the stuff. You come home, you throw it in the washing machine. The water left in the washing machine goes through, after you've washed your clothes, it's still going into your kids' clothes. I don't know, we have lost a lot of friends and a lot of people needlessly through this, the action taken by the government, knowingly taken by the government. I have been very heavily involved with a lot of what's been going on, and spoken with lawyers. I've spoken to medical doctors that came up here. I can't think of the doctor's name at the moment, but there's quite a few doctors that have come up here, and we've gone to had their tests done, and they all come out the same. There's no, and basically it boils down to that. I can't remember what year it was, but Kim Chance was in Broome, and we, en masse, a whole heap of the APB blokes went down to Broome there, and we met out at Cable Beach, and Kim Chance was the Minister for Agriculture at the time, and he went on record saying that it was a terrible thing that had happened. There was no way in the world that this chemical could ever have been used up here because of the protective gear we would have had to wear. Full air wash hoods, gloves, everything else. And he acknowledged at the time that something had to be done. He was all for us. The biggest issue is that the government can willingly say, yeah, well, that happened, doesn't matter. Yeah, we did this, we did that, because they're hiding behind the statute of limitations, which is protecting them. The whole series, I know of people whose grandchildren have got some serious faults. I'm blessed at the moment. None of my grandchildren have had any issues. I did lose my wife through cancer. Still blame that on them. My wife had a baby terminated at 20 weeks from anencephaly, which is similar to spina bifida, except the top of the head doesn't form. And so there was no chance the baby was going to live anyway. So she had to go through the whole process of having it brought on, induced, giving birth to it, naming it. I've got the death certificate inside. And the mental anguish that puts on a woman is unreal. Every year, for I think it was at least 6 or 7 years, we would put in a death notice. That's how much tragedy it brought upon my wife and herself. Then I was blessed with my daughter Ayla, and at that stage of the game, she hasn't had children. She's only just recently got married, which is a good time. It's just the shame about it all was that her mother wasn't here to be part of that celebration. So yeah, and but there's people out there, all these mates of mine that passed away, their kids grew up without fathers. I shouldn't say that. Their kids grew up not knowing their biological father. A lot of them managed to have very, very good stepfathers that came in and had kept them on track, good role models and the rest of it. It's just a shame that, once again, that these families don't get to see the fruit of their own lives and stuff like that.